there, listeners. It's your annoyingly optimistic host here, bringing you another season of the Annoyingly Optimistic Show. Welcome to Season 2, Voicemails to Tim. Now, let's meet Tim. He's been running his own small business for almost 3 years now, and let's just say he's hit a bit of a rough patch. You know how it is. Sometimes you get so stuck, you make yourself busy and just avoid finding the real problems. Well, that's Tim. So as a good friend, I decided to leave him a daily voicemail, if I can't get hold of him, filled with nuggets of inspiration, insight and wisdom, and downright brilliant ideas to help get him unstuck. Every day, in just under 10 minutes, I'll share some tips, tricks, and a healthy dose of optimism to get Tim, and maybe even you, back on track. Because let's face it, we're all a little tired, in need of help, and muddling through. So here we go. Oh wait, never mind. Tim's being busy. Here's the voicemail I left him today.
Hi Tim, how are you? Hope you had a good weekend. Just was something that from the message you sent me the other day, and I realised we kind of got to go backwards to go forward sometimes. And it's an exercise we haven't done yet, and I think it's something that might be useful. And the version that I'm going to kind of talk about was, I think it's been used and reused and things like that, but I'm going to attribute for once the person that I kind of got this off of, but I think from remembering him talking about it that it's something that has come he got from other people. But Justin Wise, you know, I've talked about before, that I've did a course with him, and yeah, kind of great guy, and learned a lot from him. And one of the things that he talked about, and it really kind of sparked something in me, and I've worked through a version of this, and I've now done this dozens and dozens of times with different kind of people, and it's really incredibly powerful, is this idea of a founder's story. Now, it sometimes sounds a little bit kind of grandiose, you know, in terms of founder's story, what's that all about? But really it's a case of putting together your story, an understanding, you know, looking internally, introspectively at what's kind of brought you to this point, because every decision you've made, everything that you do, everything that's been part of your life has brought you to the point you are right now, with the views, the opinions, the drives, the passion that you've got. And they're all there. There's little kind of breadcrumbs. Now, there's a couple of kind of caveats that I always start with before kind of doing this process. And I've done my own founder story 4 times now. And it's not that because I suddenly remembered things or whatever, but you want to ideally get the purest version of your founder story down in terms of everything. But that can be very, very difficult, dredging back into your past. So what I've done, and the reason why I've done multiple ones, is if you give yourself a lens, you give yourself a view to take you back in terms of, okay, picking out something that you're really passionate about now, and then basically trying to find the little waypoints along the way, the little signposts as you look back that trace it to this. Because there are lots of things that happen in our lives which we can absolutely see a real straight influence with the things that we're doing now. But there are lots of things that happen in our lives which are just things that happen in our lives and don't have a massive effect on what we're kind of doing. And so sometimes it can be, you can remember these really big things, but actually that's not something that's maybe left a mark and left an influence. So having a look with a specific lens, it allows you to kind of focus in on various things. And that's part of the reason, and this is going to sound potentially disingenuous, which it absolutely isn't, but part of the reason why I've done mine multiple times and multiple iterations of multiple times is it depends what I'm trying to get across to someone and what I'm trying to really emphasize. So where I'm trying to do stuff about creative thinking and problem solving, I will piece together certain things that happen in my lives that kind of fit with that. Where I'm trying to talk about humor and storytelling and things like that, there are different kind of things that I pick out. You know, we've talked about some of those as influences from my point of view, the never-ending story, Lego, you know, various things like this, which I've used in kind of different ways because they support that kind of narrative. Now, mush them all together because they're all part of that, but it depends what you're trying to focus on. So what I thought would be really useful for you is to go through that. Now, a couple of kind of guiding questions and things to kind of set you off on this is what kind of skills, talents, passions do you still employ today, still use, or that there's a similarity between something you're doing now that actually links back to something you did when you were a childhood? Because often some of those earliest kind of passions will bubble up in childhood in a particular way in the field of being a child. So there's only certain things you can do with that. But actually you can see that's a core part of your personality and it's still there today. So have a look back at, things that of a childlike nature that you enjoyed, and it could be the way that you did things, that you like team sports or doing stuff on your own or whatever, and see how that's kind of fed into today. So that's one of the key kind of guiding questions. But I'd just like you to kind of delve back and start piecing that together. You can go back as far as you want. Some people go all the way back into kind of early childhood. Some people, it's more kind of starts in their kind of university early business days, or in the teenage years, whatever. You basically go back as far as you want. But what you're trying to do is, and start back, don't try and work backwards, but start kind of early in terms of some of those key things which kind of resonate with you now. Invariably, when you start this, the first run through, you will come up with a load of things. If you do this a few times, you will typically find more and more. Again, it's one of those exercises, if you can make a start on this, it's easier doing it with someone else that can ask you some questions and fire some things off at you, so that they can pick up on the little things you're saying. Tell me a bit more about that. And that's often very kind of helpful in kind of doing this. But it helps to kind of ground you and give you a perspective of where you are and what you've achieved. Because one of the things that we absolutely lose sight of is that the more we know, the less we appreciate what we know. And sometimes this process of going back and understanding what are those steps which have brought us to this point, it actually gives us a deeper appreciation of what we've learnt, what we know, and how far we've come, and what we actually have to give and produce, and what we're actually kind of doing. So I just think it'd be a useful exercise, Tim, to kind of look back, work on that idea of a kind of founder story. We can touch on this again, because again, there are some specific exercises we can do around this, but I just think it will help give you that extra little bit of clarity at this point to really understand where you've come from, because that also gives you a direction of where you're going, and linking with your passion. It also makes things like writing your own bio, writing about us page, these kind of elements so much easier, because you're not just trotting out a pastiche of cliches that everyone else is. You can actually put some real growth and development and something there that people can really latch onto, because that's what you're trying to do. You want them to like you, to know you, and to trust you. And by explaining some more of your influences and what's brought you to this point, that then allows people to connect. So I hope that's been is of some use. We can talk about it, but yeah, dive in, start your founder story. Speak to you soon, Tim. Bye for now.
And that's it for today's episode of Voicemails to Tim on the Annoyingly Optimistic Show. Now remember, Tim might be busy, but we're all in this together. Whether you're tired, in need of help, or just muddling through, Tim is here for you, because, well, Tim is you. Yes, you heard that right. Tim isn't just my friend, he's a reflection of all of us who are struggling to make it work. TIM stands for tired, in need of help, and muddling through. So if you're feeling like a Tim, you're not alone. For all those ambitious listeners, if you've got a burning business question, a quirky thought, or just want to see if you can leave an even weirder voicemail, head over to the website voicemailstotim.com, submit your question, and maybe, just maybe, you'll hear your idea in a future Voicemail to Tim. So until then, stay annoyingly optimistic, keep pushing forward, and remember, if life gives you lemons, leave a voicemail about it.